So I just want to read a few paragraphs from to the agnostic. It's in the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, so that you can understand. Just see the AA people, even alcoholics, before they're healed, before they've stopped drinking, know that all of the churches are in hypocrisy. Okay. That's one thing I'll say about alcoholics. Okay, is that, like, they're not stupid people. Okay, they realize the absolute hypocrisy of all the churches. So then when they go into the churches and say, I have this addiction, I don't know what to do, you're going to, depending on the church, but let's just use all of them, you need to start going to, Stations of the Cross, go into the little black box, be forgiven, do 150,000 Hail Marys, get rosary beads, start atoning for the blood that your maker, what he did for you. And then you need to get confirmed, and you're going, what? No. Okay. So, like, the people of Alcoholics Anonymous knew this. They knew that, like, the whole world is in hypocrisy. The churches are foolish, and that they don't help anybody. That's what they tell you. What they did was the exact same thing the Pharisees did. The Pharisees took what was something simple that God gave them, okay? And then they put all their own rules and words, and they complicated it, which is why they stood in the way of people that truly wanted to be saved. That's why Jesus called them out. Like, you stand in the doorway, preventing everybody else to enter because you complicate the hell out of it. You complicate my Father's word in every single way. And then you don't even go in because you can't. And then you prevent everybody else. Well, you can, stand in the marketplace and say, I'm holy, and dress like you're holy to the world. And there is people out here, and this is why Jesus went to the nobodies, because those people could never receive Jesus. Never. They would never going to. That's why he said they're a brood of vipers, too far gone. This world, of course, would say, nobody's too far gone. I agree. But if you're in these churches, all they know how to do, again, is they don't know the Holy Spirit. And they don't seem to want to, because sometimes, just like the Pharisees, when you get too much in your ego, I don't know how you break down those walls. I really don't. However, God can work miracles. So the agnostic and the atheist most especially see the absolute bullshit of the churches, okay? Which then, that's why they can't save. So basically, in the letter to the agnostics in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, they acknowledge that to the agnostic. Like, totally get it. The whole world is in hypocrisy. It's just about materialism, and then everybody talking down to you about the cross and atonement and blood, and here you are needing help. So they validate the agnostic, basically. And they don't tell them what to believe, because all they ask, all they say, we're not going to tell you what God to believe. We're not going to do any of that. Because that's not what Jesus wanted. Because that's how you get into the trap of being the Pharisee religions. They say just a willingness, a small bit of willingness. Just open the door a little bit, agnostic and atheist. Just a tiny bit of maybe. That's all you need. That's all you need. You don't need to do anything else. Just that little bit. Well, okay, maybe. Then God will open it the rest of the way. He will. So that's really what the letter to the agnostic is basically, yes, all the churches are foolish, and, we get it, okay? So in the last part of this letter to the agnostic, it says, our friend was a minister's son. He attended church school where he became rebellious at what he thought was an overdose of religious education. For years thereafter, he was dodged by trouble, frustration, business failure, insanity, fatal illness, suicide. These calamities in his immediate family combined, family embitterment and immediate family embittered and depressed him. Post-war disillusionment, ever more serious. You have to remember the timing when this was written. It was after World War, II, right? Was it after World War II? Regardless, because a couple of the steps, this is from the Big Book, but they mention how more people came back from the war the AA kept them sober during the war, even in those harsh conditions. Okay, so post-war disillusionment, ever more serious alcoholism, impending mental and physical collapse brought him to the point of self-destruction. One night, when confined in a hospital, he was approached by an alcoholic who had known a spiritual experience. Our friend's gorge rose as he bitterly cried out, "If there was a God, he certainly hasn't done anything for me." But later, alone in his room, he asked himself this question: is it possible that all the religious people I have known are wrong? They are. All of the religious people you have known are wrong. Do you see how this is why it was written to the agnostic and atheist? Like, just forget what the churches say. They're in Pharisee land. While pondering the answer, he felt as though he lived in hell. Then, like a thunderbolt, a great thought came. It crowded out all else. Who are you to say there is no God? This man recounts that he tumbled out of bed to his knees. In a few seconds, he was overwhelmed by a conviction of the presence of God. It poured over him and through him with the certainty and majesty of a great tide at flood. The barriers he had built through the years were swept away. He stood in the presence of an infinite power and love. He had stepped from bridge to shore. Thus was our friend's cornerstone fixed in place. Companionship with his Creator. No, never was he shaken again. His alcoholic problem was taken away. In this guy's case, all of it was taken away immediately. Most people don't have, there's few people that have had that happen. More often than not, it's, it's not like it's years down the line that you'll have proof of God. But in this situation, this would be somebody that God took it all away. He never wanted to drink again. The thought of it repulsed him. And that very night, the desire disappeared. Save for brief moments of temptation, the thought of drink has never returned. And at such times, a great revulsion has risen up in him. Seemingly, he could not drink even if he would. God had restored him to sanity. Yeah, restored him to sanity. Because that's one of the steps. Came to believe in a power greater than ourselves. That's step 2. Could restore us to sanity. The world is not sane. The churches are not sane, okay? What is this but a miracle healing? Yet its elements are simple. Circumstances made him willing to believe. He humbly offered himself to his Maker. Then he knew. Even so has God restored us all to our right minds. To this man, the revelations were sudden. Some of us grow into it more slowly, but he has come to all, and this means God. God has come to all who have honestly sought him. When we drew near to him, he disclosed himself to us, God. So that's how simple, like that's how like right to the heart of it with AA it is. Like AA is about it. Like they know. The churches, they don't help anybody. I don't know, what they did. They don't know the Spirit of God, and which is why in AA that the Spirit of God is there. Just like the reason Jesus went to the nobodies that ended up being the apostles. That's what Jesus did with AA. He went to the broken because they would most be able to hear him and receive him. And we follow that Holy Spirit. We know the inner voice. It is not a gut feeling. It is not just the still small voice, because it's not always that. We depend on it with our life, which is why we know Jesus better than all Christian denominations combined.